Hi everyone, welcome to the Climb Your Everest Leadership Skills series. We've been doing many sessions so far, and we are at the end of our 6 months program because it's kind of right before we come to Nepal for an in-person program where it's happening very soon. We're going to travel to 3 different cities, and we're going to have the workshops in different communities. So we're very excited for that. Dr. Parisa, she's joining us from London, UK. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm very excited because she's coming with me to Nepal this year. So you're going to hear a lot from her in person wherever you are, because we are traveling through different cities. So I want you to pay a lot of attention today, take a lot of notes, and she's going to be in person, so you can ask all your questions in a few weeks in person. So with no further ado, I want to welcome you, Parisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the introduction, Sarah. That's very kind. So, yeah, as Sarah's mentioned, I'm coming to Nepal in October. Very excited to meet all of you in person, because as much as Zoom is great, it's always nice to have face-to-face interactions and, see people. And I once went to Nepal in 2018, so I'm very much looking forward to coming back. I live in London, as Sarah's already mentioned. I'm a doctor, a surgeon by background, but I've been involved in mentoring female doctors and offering support with their career progression, as well as obviously navigating my own. So I hope that through this talk, I can shed some light on situations that you might be going through in your professional, personal lives. What I would like to do first is, if everyone, whether your screen is on or off, just give me a very quick introduction of maybe your name, what you do, where you live, so that I can tailor my talk a little bit better. So happy for you guys to just go ahead.
Prakriti, do you want to start introducing yourself, please?
Okay, sure, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity and introducing about myself. My name is Prakriti Punmagar. Recently, I have completed my Bachelor of Information Management, and currently I'm working as a USU instructor in Triog High School, Kathmandu. Thank you.
Who's the little lady next to you?
That's her nephew.
Oh, okay. Yanisha, do you want to give us a short introduction?
Yeah. Hi, hello everyone. I'm Yunisa Paudel, currently pursuing SCCA, and I've been joining this since the day started, but I discontinued in middle. I have taken your last session also, and it really impacted me much. And I'm doing meditation daily. So thanks to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, you're most welcome. I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you. Sabin?
Hey everybody, it's me Sabin Thapa. I'm currently studying ACC and I have completed my skill level recently in previous attempt. I have joined this Climb Your Everest program through UNISA. So I want to thank UNISA as well. That's all.
Great. Thank you very much. And can I just ask, what is ACC? I might be a completely stupid question, but...
You said you are from UK, right?
Yes. Is this the accounting?
I think you must be familiar. I assume you must be familiar with ACCA because it's an UK course.
Is it the accounting one?
Yeah, it's Association of Certified Chartered Accountant.
I should know. My husband's an accountant. He'll kill me if he heard this. But anyway, moving on.
It was
Rita.
quite surprising for me that being in UK, you said you don't know about ACCA.
I just wanted to check it was definitely the right thing. Great. Thank you for that. And Rita?
Okay.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Parisa.
You too.
It's me, Kal, recently from Bhaktapur, Nepal. I work as a teacher in a school and I'm a married woman. I have a 10 years old son. And thank you.
Lovely. Brilliant. Thank you. And Sapana?
Hello and namaste everyone. My name is Sapana Gimire. I am from Bhaktapur. I am currently working as a teacher in a school and I am also a married woman. I have a daughter of 9 years. Thank you. Good to meet you.
You too, Sapana. Thank you. And Maya? I think we've met before, but just for the group.
Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Maya Kadir, and I'm undergraduate student of environment science. Beside of that, I'm also involved in research. Currently, I'm working at Stark Secretariat as a researcher. Beside of that, I'm also working with US Embassy Youth Council for this year, 2023 batch. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So I think there's a couple of people joining on and off, but I'll make a start. And if anyone else wants to introduce at the end, then obviously we can do that.
She want to introduce.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, go on. Let's have the introduction.
My name is Arsi Limbu. My name is Arsi Limbu. I am 5 years old. I study in grade 2. My school name is Little Angel School. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank
for being
you.
here.
Oh, very good. Very proactive. I like it. Nice to meet you too. Okay, so today we're going to talk about two topics. The first one is goal setting and the second one is self-motivation. So they actually go really well together. So some of the things I say might be repeated from one to another, but I've tried to separate them so we can focus on one thing at a time. And I'm very, very happy if at any point you want to either put your hand up or just ask a question. You don't need to wait until the end. If you prefer to wait, that's also fine. So the first topic of goal setting, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about why this is important and what the benefits are. We're going to talk about some ways that you can set goals for yourself and how to focus a behavior towards a meaningful direction and make a plan that is more likely to work for you in achieving your goals. We're also going to look at how you can measure your own progress to stay on track, and also talk about, sorry, I should have removed these two bits, but anyway, talk about how they can motivate you and so on. So here, just in theme with Climb Your Everest, I've got a diagram that shows you essentially what all the things that can be helped by setting ourselves some goals. So you might be more happy because you feel like you're achieving things. You might feel more healthy. For example, if you set yourself fitness goals, you will gain experience. For example, if your goal is to, I don't know, get experience in teaching third grade students or fourth grade students, and at the end of the year, you'll feel more experienced, you'll feel more knowledgeable, more skilled. Some of your goals might be more focused on adventure and experiencing new things, but also goals will help you to become more focused and productive because you'll have something that you're working towards and you've made a plan. And they might help you organize your time and your life a little bit better. But we'll go into these a bit more detail. Now, can anyone think of anything else that might be helped by setting goals for yourself? Like, can you think of anything that's not on this list?
It makes us punctual.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Anything else? So I think goals can make you feel more fulfilled in life because you've got a bit of direction. And there are many, many other benefits. And I think we all probably know what the main benefits are, but it's sometimes just good to think about why you're setting yourself goals just for and not just doing it for the sake of it because it sounds good. So in terms of setting yourself goals, what you can do is to divide your goals into subsections. So it's all good and well saying, I want to be better next year, but how? In what aspect of your life do you think you need to be better? Is it your career? Is it your education? Is it being more financially sort of organized? Is it pursuing an art? Is it with your family? So there's lots of different things you can set your goals around. And I'll show you an example later of how your goal setting planner might look. But also it's not just about setting specific goals. It's about thinking of what you want to get out of it. So your goals need to be rewarding for you. And what might be rewarding for me might not be rewarding for you. They need to motivate you. And you might be inspired by someone. You might say, well, Sarah's climbed Everest. I want to climb Everest. Although I don't think I could ever do that. But do you know what I mean? Like, you might be inspired by someone, but it's fine if you don't want to follow someone else's inspirations and goals. They also have to be realistic and practical. And I'll talk about a technique you can use to set your goals. But, there's also nothing wrong with dreaming big. We might dream big and not necessarily achieve everything that we dream about, but it's nice to have an aim, and it's nice to dream sometimes and think, well, I can do anything I set my mind to. So one really well-known method of setting goals is the SMART method. Now, SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I'll talk about these a little bit more in a moment, but I just want to know, has anyone heard of this concept before?
Yes, ma'am, I have heard about
Yes.
this.
Have you used it in the past?
Or from Sarah, ma'am.
Yeah, we had a workshop, we talked about
We
this.
have not used actually, but we have learned about this in our workshop in school only.
Okay, great. That's great. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through them, and then maybe I'll ask a couple of you to give me an example of a SMART goal, and it can be something really, really simple. So how do you set a SMART goal? Say, for example, your goal this year is to become more fit or healthy, okay? So it's all good saying, I just want to be fit, but that's quite vague, and it's kind of hard to just get fit. You need to have a plan. So what specific means is set yourself a really specific goal that you can work towards. So for example, you might say, I want to walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week. And that's really, really specific. It's not like, oh, shall I walk? Shall I do some sit-ups at home? Shall I don't know, go to the gym? There's lots of different things you can do, but you're picking what is better for you. And then it's also measurable. So what you might say is, okay, by the end of this month, I want to do 3 walks a week for 30 minutes and not get out of breath, for example. And you're putting a measure on that. You're saying, I want to do it this many times, and this is how I want to feel. It's also achievable. So if you say, okay, I want to run a marathon by next month, and you've never ran in your life, obviously that's not going to happen. But if you say, I want to walk 30 minutes a day, for a lot of people that might be achievable, and you don't need any equipment for it. You just need some comfortable shoes, and off you go. It has to be relevant to you. So obviously everyone's lifestyle is different. I know a couple of you mentioned you have children, and with children it's hard to find time for yourself. So going to the park with your child whilst the kid is playing, and you do a bit of exercise on the side, that might be more relevant to you than someone else who has a bit more free time. So it's just adapting it to what works for you. And then time bound, I've kind of already talked about. So setting yourself a time limit. So if you did want to run a marathon, or you wanted to be able to run for 10 minutes, then you say, okay, I want to achieve this by this date. and try and work towards it. Eventually, it doesn't matter if you don't run by that date, but you've tried. That's the most important thing. Does that make sense? I'm getting a few nods, so hopefully that made sense. So perhaps if one of you can think of a goal and just work through those 5 things and tell me how you might set yourself a goal by using the SMART method.
I actually like to ask Aslesha, because we've done this. Aslesha, can you think of a goal for your life? If not, I'm gonna ask your sister, Yonisha. Can you tell us?
I'll go and then see you.
Okay.
For a goal, like I'm little confused right now, but I have think to be a better accountant. Foremost, I want to be advisor in the field, and
Okay.
about like specific, like I am a bit confused, but to do like a specified job or to start one startup, I'm a bit quite confused right now, but of course it is measurable and it's achievable, but I couldn't focus on oneself, so I couldn't say more than that. I'm so stuck in the middle. I think sometimes like a 9 to 5 job is better for like for a day-to-day work basis, but to do a bit extra from the crowd, we have to stood up from the crowd. So for that courage, like there is also risks coming through it. So I'm quite not.
You're doing very well. You're doing very well. Listen, it doesn't need to be in that order. You're saying all the right things. So you want to be an accounting advisor, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a specific type of job, right? Okay. And so say, for example, the time limit, when do you want to achieve that goal by? Is it next 6 months? Is it into
For next for next 8 years, like for 5 years I need to understand the market as well, so I do not want to hurry and rush everything out, and in 8 years, like I'll be in the age that I think I should achieve at least what I like, what I enjoy most, so about 8 years from now.
Well, yeah, so exactly. This is a long-term goal, and we'll talk about those as well. So you've identified that you need at least 5 years experience, you need to understand the market. This is obviously very relevant to you because it's what you're doing already. It's achievable because you haven't said that it's not, and you're obviously a very smart woman, and measurable. I guess the thing about measurable is, what do you need to do in the next 5 years that might give you a better chance of becoming an advisor? Do you need to take a course? Do you need to do some studying? Do you need to do some work experience? Do you need to go to another city to get experience? It's all of these things that you need to figure out, and then you can make yourself a plan. And obviously, it doesn't always need to be so strict. Like, you don't have to stick to every one of those goals, but it just helps you get there, and it keeps you motivated as well, I think, if you have those kind of smaller steps. So I think that's a very good example. Anyone else want to share a goal? I know it's a bit daunting, but you don't need to be able to say all of them. It's just practicing, really.
Prakriti and Rita, do you like to share your goals?
Yes, for example, this goal setting I have all first heard by our Sarah ma'am, and it really worked. And I'm still remembering and recalling that session. So I want to just recap. I want to give short example like if I set a goal to lose my body weight 5 kg in a month.
Okay.
So that is I specified my goal 5 kg in a month. And next one is measurable, that whether that goal can be measured by me, it is achievable or not. Yes. I just think that is that goal relevant to me or not? Why not? Because that to lose body weight is important for me, and that one is relevant to me. And lastly, I'm bound to achieve that goal. How much time should I get, or do I give to achieve that goal, either early in the morning or in the evening? So what kind of things I do, like yoga, meditation, exercise. So everything, all things should be considered and specified by me to get my goal in a month. I think
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, perfect. That's an example of a short-term goal. You know, you've said it's important to you because it's good for your health, and that's something you've identified you want to do. You've set a time limit on it. And, you know, if by the end of the month you've lost 3, that's still progress, right? But you've had a plan, you know, you said you're going to think about how to do it, yoga, walking, meditation, and it's very specific. So those are 2 really nice examples, because one is very long term and the other one is more short term. So, and we can have multiple goals at the same time. So just going back to the presentation, thank you for both for sharing that, because I know it's a bit daunting. How do you actually, now that I've talked about one of the most common techniques of doing it, how do you do it? So this is how I quite like to do mine. This isn't actually mine. I took the picture off the internet, but this is what my own looks like. And it might look a bit scary and colorful at first, but what I like to do is every 3 to 6 months, divide a piece of paper up into sections, and it'll be, you know, finances, relationships, health, work, career, personal, whatever category you want. And so, for example, for relationship, it might be visit my parents once a week. For health, it might be go to the gym 1 more time every week. Or for finance, it might be try and save £5 a week. I don't know, whatever your goals are in that arena. Or for career, it might be pass my ACCA exams or something like that. And once you've got this, what I normally do is I stick it on a wall so I see it all the time. But you can also, what I've written here, journal, is keep track, you know, every month, write some things down that you could do that month towards your goal. And then at the end of the month, go through them and see how you've done. And don't be too critical on yourself. You know, it's life doesn't always go how we want it to. And what I've written here is set realistic goals. So obviously we've been through this in the last slide already in terms of SMART goals, but set realistic goals. So this page that I'm showing here looks quite busy. I haven't actually read the details, but it looks like there might be a lot on there. And if you suddenly set yourself 10 goals, that could be quite stressful, because if you're not achieving all of them, then you get stressed that you're not achieving your goals. And that's not the point of this. It's not to make you stress. It's just I would say start with 1 or 2, and then if you're doing okay, then you can add on to it. Peers and mentors can be really helpful, because if you discuss your goals with someone, then you can talk to them about it. You say, oh, you know, I just really want to pass my exam. I'm thinking maybe I need to study 2 hours every other day, and maybe by the end of the month I do a test exam, and then in a month's time say, oh, by the way, I did my test exam, it went well or it didn't go well, this is what I need to do. So it's just quite useful to talk to someone about these things. And especially when you're on a course, you'll have your course mates, but also mentors, maybe someone who's already done that exam can give you some advice and keep you on track. Now, it's really important to bear in mind that there are some factors that are in your control and some factors that are out of your control. So, for example, with a weight loss example, if you set yourself the goal of losing 5 kg and you fall over and you break your leg so you can't do any exercise, that's out of your control. You might be upset for a few days about it, but you need to recover, you need to get better. That's not your fault. it's just something that's happened in life, and that will apply to many other things as well. But some things are in your control, and it's important to focus on the things that are in your control so you don't get too wound up. And the last item here is what really matters, because what I said earlier in the presentation was that yes, some other people might have other goals. They might sound cool or they might sound impressive, but actually you might not care. Like I've said, I want to get more fit. You might not care. You might just say, well, I feel good as I am. Like I don't necessarily need to do that. And it's really good to be honest with yourself. Or if you I don't know if one of your teacher colleagues is saying, oh, I'm going to do this course and that course, and you think, oh, that sounds impressive, but I don't have the time, or I can't be bothered, or it doesn't sound interesting to me. That's fine. Like, unless it's a requirement, do what you enjoy and do what really matters to you as a person. Obviously, it's good to get ideas. If your colleague's saying, I'm going to do this course, and you think, oh, that might be good for me too, and I have the time and I have the desire, then great, but don't feel under pressure. And again, like measure your progress with time. So if you draw out your circle of all your goals every month, every 6 weeks, just go over it and say, oh, okay, I managed to do these things, but I didn't quite get time to do those things. Maybe next month I can do things a bit differently. Just see how you're getting along. Now, there are challenges to achieving our goals, and one of the first things I've written here is what matters. Obviously, I mentioned this already, but one of the most sort of valuable things in goal setting is picking what matters to you, because otherwise you're naturally not going to be as motivated about it, unless it's something you have to do and you think, well, I just have to do this test or I have to take that exam. Then pick what you like. You also have to prioritize, because if you have a financial goal and you have an exam coming up and you have a fitness goal, but your exam is in 2 weeks, then in the next 2 weeks, you're going to focus on the exam. You're not going to be able to do everything. And so it's about prioritizing, and it's about being adaptable and flexible to the situation. Focusing on positives is mostly for you, because so if you set 5 goals for yourself and you achieve 2 and don't quite achieve 3, you still have to reward yourself for the things that you have achieved, because it's important that you pick up the positives and not just focus on the negatives. And particularly some people who are very driven, they'll set lots of goals, and it's important not to let it get to you if you haven't quite got there. But you also still have to push yourself. And pushing yourself outside your comfort zone is always a good way of testing how far you can go. So, something comes up, for example, the Climb Your Everest workshop in Nepal, and you think, oh, that sounds a bit scary, being with all these people, learning all these things, I have to speak up, and you think, oh, but I quite like the sound of it, I'm just going to give it a go. That's an example, and you go and you either find it nice or you don't, but you've still tried, and that's the most important thing. Or if you take on a new qualification, you think, oh, this is going to be hard, I'm going to have to study, my friends aren't studying, why am I doing this? But you want to do it, so you're going to push yourself, and that's how we get better and better. And I just put a quote in here, which I quite like, which is that the question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. And really what that refers to is what I was talking about before, what's in your control, and having some individuality in setting your goals and thinking, actually, this is what I want to do. I'm going to pursue it within realistic realms. And if someone's saying, oh, you can't do it, or you might not be able to do this, that's their problem. I'm going to try. And that's something I personally have had to do a lot in my life. Not many women want to be surgeons, and everyone's like, oh, but what about children, and what about this, and what about your life? But I wanted to do it. So, and it is hard, but you pursue it. So in summary, you start by setting goals, make a plan, you get working on your goals, you try and stick to it as much as you can, and hopefully you'll reach some or all of your goals. And just don't forget that you have to commit to achieving it. You have to reward yourself for your even small achievements, but particularly the big ones. It's good to share your goals. It's good to get feedback and try and stick to your goals. So on that note, does anyone have any questions about goal setting before we move on to self-motivation? Is this something that you guys have thought about before, actually writing down your goals and thinking about how you're going to achieve them? Is this something you've engaged in? I know, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I set goal one and make plan, but I just couldn't commit to it. Like I get really easily distracted from this. And like one day and 2 day I'll do that, and then from next day I'll make another plan, and like that goes on. So how can I cope up on this?
Can you give me, if it's not too personal, can you give me an example of a goal that you set so that we can try and figure out what might have not worked?
It's
By the way, that happens to everyone, so it's very normal.
It's not that too big or too vast that anyone couldn't do, but I really suffer. Like I couldn't sleep easily at night, and I sleep all morning around, like I wake up around 9 a.m. and again like the day disturbs, and next day and I plan to sleep early, but again it's 2 a.m 3 a.m and again and I wake up in 9 a.m. That goes and goes. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's the big one.
And that's actually a really good example, because that affects a lot of us. I'm sure we've all had it at some point. And it obviously affects your productivity during the day, how tired you feel. Have you researched kind of ways of trying to sleep better? Have you looked at it?
Yeah, I have like I go to bed at 10 p.m. and like I try to sleep, but around 12 p.m. I wake up, and then there is no and I become sleepless, and I start to use mobile phone, and then from screen time, then it's almost 2 a.m 3 a.m. One day I have been wake up to 5 a.m. in the morning, and then I go to sleep for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, that sounds exhausting. Okay, so obviously the waking up bit is not necessarily, it's not your fault, if I may say so, but there are things you can do that can help. So for this example, leaving your phone in another room, so not taking it into your room with you, because the minute that phone lights, it affects the light going into your eyes, and it affects your hormone balance, and your sleep hormones will go down and your awake hormones will go up, and it will be harder, and your brain starts getting stimulated by what you're doing on your phone, so you go into awake mode. So that's one thing. The other things are things like doing meditation before going to sleep, having a hot shower before going to sleep, not having a heavy meal. So there's all these things, and actually what might help is if you write them down and say, this week I'm going to try this one. Does it help? Does it not? Next week, maybe I'll try going to bed half an hour earlier after doing some stretches. Maybe it helps, maybe it won't. And then you might find 2 or 3 things that are helpful for you. And then long term, you can start to do those things more and more. But I don't know if we're seeing you when I come to Nepal. We can talk about this, because I have a bit of experience around this. But that's thank you for being so honest, because that's actually really, really important. Sleep is so important. It's the only time your body can recover from what you're doing all day, every day. And obviously you're studying, so you're going to be using your brain a lot. But maybe start with trying to leave your phone in a different room and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'll try this 3 option first, like eating low and phone in another room, and then meditation, and I'll see what it goes.
Yeah, go for it. Or you might find something else that I haven't said, but you can search other things on
No,
Google. That's helpful.
I tried many methods, but I got failed again.
Well, we can catch up about this again, but it sounds like you kind of know what you need to do, but maybe just do it in a different way or try one thing at a time and see how it goes.
Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share anything, any goals that they've struggled with, or any goals that they've done well, or go for it, Prakriti.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Just I want to share one, like what will help in goal setting. Like from last workshop of Climb Your Everest, I learned about vision board. It is very easy for me. Still, I'm applying that methods and techniques. And in my bedroom, there is one vision board, and I always every morning I see that vision board, and just I wake up and think positive about my goal in the future and move towards. So, just Sarah ma'am told us it will work, but in my real life, I realized that vision board is very important, and the things what I have pasted from paper collage, it's actually happening in my life, and so I'm very positive about that. And still, and I was not thinking about workout, but you know what? Every evening time, every day, 3 hours, I do my exercise workout, and um, just I have lost like around 6 kg weight within a month, and every day I use I lost 200 calories, and along with that, with the help of other exercise, and I'm improving and I'm keeping myself fit, and it is very encouraging me in my goal setting as well, because self-love is important. I have to prioritize myself. I have that kinds of nature. I cannot say no to everyone, but nowadays I'm very strict to my schedule, and I'm following and I'm caring about oneself and building my own confidence level, and I'm practicing for I'm vision. I have some vision for my master's degree, so I'm thinking about it as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Well done. That sounds amazing. So you talked about your trigger every morning, a reminder to feel positive, which is really amazing. And it's such a simple thing that actually sometimes when people give you these suggestions, you think, no, that's not going to work. But it's obviously worked for you. It might work for lots of other people. For someone else, something else might work, like listening to a particular song, or doing something else, and that's really, really powerful. And your exercise routine sounds very effective, so you might have to teach us what you're doing. That's really, really impressive, and I'm sure you've noticed that in yourself you'll feel better, mentally you'll feel better, and it's being selfish, and I say selfish because it's not actually selfish, and sticking to your routine and having that time that you need for you to feel better, to exercise, to whatever, is so important. So thank you for bringing that up as well. Okay, so we will move on to self-motivation next. Does anyone know what self-motivation, like what do you think self-motivation means? Anybody? Maya, I'm going to pick on you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I think self-motivation mean that comes within, because sometime you already introduced about the goal setting, and we might also, every individual have a goal that we have a purpose, that how can we fulfill it. And if we are self-motivated, then we don't need any person who comes every day and around us and say like, you have to do this and you have to do that, and after that you will reach on this place. And if we are self-motivated, then we can find that supportive sides by oneself. There have in this is the 21st century, and we have digital world. And we can find lots of message from where we can utilize to empower oneself. We don't need any person, we don't need any teachers, we don't need any guidelines. If we are self-motivated, then we can find everything whatever we want. I think this is the self-motivation which will always help us to be a strong person from inside. If we are strong, mentally strong, physically strong, and our goal, our self-motivation also that type, then we can do anything. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. That's a fantastic definition. Yeah, exactly. It comes from within. It drives you to do things better or drives you to do new things, and it will ultimately have a positive effect on your life. And that's exactly it. So I'll go through a different sort of more official definition of self-motivation. We'll talk about the importance and why someone might be feeling a lack of self-motivation, and also what the effects are if you don't feel motivated in yourself. We'll also talk about how to stay motivated, what intrinsic and extrinsic motivators are, and also some of the hurdles and challenges of becoming self-motivated or remaining self-motivated. So the definition of self-motivation is the force that keeps pushing us to go on. It's our internal drive to achieve, produce, develop, and keep moving forward. When you think you're ready to quit something or you just don't know how to start, your self-motivation is what pushes you to go on. So why is self-motivation important then? The reason is because it allows you to build a positive mindset. Now, we talked about this in the last bit as well. So you stop the habit of worrying and dwelling on problems, and you instead think, how can this get better? How can I get better? How can we do more? So it's kind of switching your mentality a little bit. But it can also transform your mind and how you feel mentally about things. It can make you a more happy person, a more constructive person, and it can allow you to focus on solutions instead of problems. So, okay, fine, you know, my window's broken, that's rubbish, but okay, what can I do to fix it? And also it allows you to aim for your goals in keeping with the last topic that we've just covered, and take control of your future. So if you look at this diagram, it's a nice transition of a stick man going from I can't do it to I want to do it, and thinking, oh, okay, how do I do it? I'll try to do it. I can do it. I will do it. And that's what we all want to try and do. And it's not just an upward staircase. Sometimes you might come back 2, go up 3, come back 1, go up 1. You know, it's up and down. That's what life is about. So things that commonly cause a lack of self-motivation are stress and burnout. So you've got so much going on, like the last thing on your mind is staying motivated. You might feel overwhelmed by a difficult situation. You might just simply be bored and you think, oh, I just can't bother to do anything, I'm so bored. Or it might be personal circumstances like illness or financial troubles or a relationship problem. And if this happens, then the effect on your life might be that you start having more negative thoughts about various aspects of your life. You might, well, we know that there are studies showing that it can affect your mental health. So you might feel more stressed or anxious or depressed. You might lose your confidence, so your self-esteem. And you might develop a very negative lens that you look through. And you might lose that clarity over what goals you want to achieve. So how do you then start to motivate yourself? So you need to be kind to yourself if you're feeling demotivated. And, you know, the first thing is to try and just get up and start moving. You know, if you're feeling really demotivated at home one day, just get up, go for a walk, and then reward yourself, even for little achievements, reward yourself. You need to practice encouraging self-talk, and we'll talk about this in the next slide, but it's all about having a word with yourself saying, okay, I felt really demotivated for the last 3 weeks. Why is that? Is it valid? Should I be feeling that demotivated? Has something actually happened to trigger this? And it's important, like when you think, okay, you know, I had this goal to exercise more, but I haven't done it, and now I just don't feel motivated. Maybe combine exercise with something you enjoy. So, for example, if you like music, then put on the music you like to do the exercise. Or if you have a friend that you really like and is willing to go for a walk with you, go with your friend. It doesn't have to be a horrible, painful experience. And also sometimes just give yourself 10 minutes to just switch off, do what you need to do, and then you can get back into it. And that 10 minutes can be a day, can be 2 days, as long as your plan is to get over that hurdle that you're experiencing. So has anyone heard of affirmations? Positive affirmations? Sabin, have you heard about this?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, what
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
understand?
I think affirmation means to give some positive message to ourselves or to someone.
Exactly, yeah, with the aim of creating like a positive mentality. So you can see in this diagram, what can I say to myself? So for example, instead of saying, I give up, you might say, I'll use some of the strategies we've learned to do better. Or if you're thinking, oh, this is too hard, you might say, this might take some time and effort, but I might be able to do it. But it's also things like, you know, if you've had a good day at work and your students have left the classroom happy, just say, I'm good at this. I've got this and I can get better. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Write it down, say it out loud, write it on your phone, text it to yourself, do what you need to do. There's a lot of research that shows this has a positive effect if you do it for a long period of time. But also, if you're going into an interview and that morning you're thinking, I'm not good enough, they're going to want someone else, I'm not the best candidate. If you go in thinking that, they'll probably be able to see that, and you might not come across as confident and competent. Actually, what's good to do is just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've worked hard to get this interview, I deserve this job. It's fine if someone else gets it and is better, but at least I've tried. So you're not saying I will get this, definitely, but it's just having that change of, you know, the voice in your head becoming more positive and more encouraging. Like, you know, having a good friend or a family member that's always rooting for you and saying you're strong, you can do this, you can do that for yourself. You don't need someone else to do it. So then we're going to talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And the reason for that is, as much as it's good to be strong from the inside, sometimes we all need a bit of help and a bit of motivation. So what might happen is you might think, you know what, I just really can't keep going. I've tried everything. I've really tried to be fun and purposeful and try to grow and try to enjoy this, but it's really hard. And that's when, you know, when you think about rewards, that's what I mean by extrinsic. So you might have been, you know, working really hard to get that accounting advisor job and it's just not happening. But actually, you know that if you just work a little bit harder, you might get that promotion, or you might get a pay rise, or you might, you know, move to a nicer office in the city or something like that. And that might help just get you a little bit further. So the a sort of intrinsic self-motivation is really important, but we're all human at the end of the day. We need a bit of reward at the end of what we do. And so combining the two is really effective. And this is why setting goals are good, because, you know that if you work hard for 5 years, you might, sorry, I keep using your example of the advisor role, but you might get that advisor role, but you know, in that time, you've got to have something else to motivate you. It might be that your salary is going up, or you're going to work in a nicer office, or your mum's going to be really proud of you, and that's fine. Those are all nice, normal things to aim for. Now, some of the challenges with self-motivation are that you might have a fear or a lack of self-belief, And this is where affirmations become really important, you know, telling yourself that you can do it. But also other people might help. You know, your best friend who knows you really well might say, I really think you can do this. I really think you're strong enough. And some, for example, external factors, we've talked about that example of breaking your leg and not achieving your goals. That's out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. Or if someone else gets the job, there was probably a reason for it, and you might be upset for a few days, but you've tried your best. Mental health can really get in the way of self-motivation. So if you're depressed, it's quite hard to motivate yourself to do things and feel positive. And the thing to do in that instance is think, okay, what is the problem here? It's not that I'm not achieving my goals, it's that I'm actually very low in mood. Maybe that's what I need to sort out first. I need to speak to someone. I need to maybe see a doctor. I need to maybe do some therapy, something like that. A lack of time can be a big factor for not being able to motivate yourself. So you just think, oh, I've got a job and I'm studying and I've got the kids and I've got my family. There's just so much going on. When that happens, what's quite useful is breaking down your goals into really small steps. So if your day is completely busy until the time you go to bed, then you can start by focusing on something even for 15, 20 minutes in the evening. 15, 20 minutes of stretching or reading is better than doing nothing, but it's also not 2 hours that you can't do. So it's about breaking it down into achievable steps. I think the next point I put in there, because some things by nature require you to have exposure to resources and opportunities. So for example, if you want a certain kind of job, you need to know some people who work in those companies to recommend you. And by not doing that, you know, someone else is more likely to get the job, or you might not have the right, I don't know, resources to, for example, the right books or the right software or whatever to access what you need. And that comes down to networking and really using the people around you to help you. So, for example, if in your current job, someone knows companies, say, oh, do you think your friend or your colleague or family would be happy to talk to me for half an hour and tell me what I can do to help me get a job? And then that link is there. You know, when that job comes up, they might think, oh, there was that woman I spoke to who was really interested. She was very clever. Maybe I would recommend her. Networking is really, really important in progressing your career. Generally, women are not as good at it as men are. So this is something that particularly for women, we need to focus on. It's not about, being, I guess, like self-promoting. It's just about showing interest. It's about creating those conversations early on, and people can help you get to your goals a bit better. There might be uncertainty in your life, so you might, for example, you set yourself a goal for 5 years' time, but you don't know where you're going to be living. You might move country, you might do something else, but that's fine. That's just life. Things can change. We can never predict the future, so you just have to ride with that. You can still set yourself goals. And sometimes you might think there isn't enough reward in something. Why am I doing this? What's the point of all this? And sometimes you just have to make up a reward for yourself. So, for example, you've set yourself the goal of, I don't know, losing weight, and you think, what is the point of this? I don't enjoy this. I hate the food. I miss what I like. I don't like exercising, and think, oh, but on the plus side, I know that if I do, I might, live longer, for healthier, or I might fit into that dress I really like, or something. You just have to create motivation for yourself. And last but not least, hang on, my slide is stuck. Okay, there we go. So that's all with regards to self-motivation. I put this picture up. This is a picture of me and my team.
We cannot see
all
it.
of You can't see it?
Oh, this picture in the surgery?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can see this one.
Okay, so this is a picture of me and my team over an operating table. And apart from the gentleman in the corner, who was one of our nursing colleagues, all of the surgeons in the room were women. And if you asked me even 10 years ago, or especially if you asked me as a kid, as a young girl growing up in Iran, where girls just generally don't get to places as a default, that you would be in an operating room in the middle of London with lots of other women around you, very professional, all doing well, I would have said there is absolutely no chance that's going to happen. And here I am, and it's taken a lot of hard work, and it's taken a lot of difficult steps and a lot of difficult decisions and compromises. But sometimes you do have to aim high and just try and reach your goals. And this isn't my ultimate goal. I have higher goals, but this is just something that I thought, actually, this is very rewarding. So I'm going to show you guys and share this with you guys. And actually, that was in the middle of the night and it was very difficult, but there we were. So, there's an example for you. I'm just going to plug my laptop into the charge because it's about to die, and then maybe we can have a conversation about everything we've discussed. So while I do that, would anyone like to reflect on a little bit on sort of self-motivation and what you think?
Before everyone asks their questions and share, I want to stop the recording so it becomes a kind of a private place, so everybody, they can ask any questions that they want to, because I was planning to record the presentation part of it. So let me stop the recording so that it becomes more of a